passed in 2010 on the heels of the financial meltdown. The president pitched it as an economic boon to the nation. It would bend the cost curve, he said, help small business. Not for nothing, it was called the Affordable Care Act. As the law takes hold, the economy's still sluggish. Some Americans are wondering if Obamacare is one of the reasons why.
I want to thank all of you for joining us here today. I know I've heard from many of you.
August 28th, Unionville, Connecticut. Democratic Congresswoman Elizabeth Esty is hosting an Affordable Care Act small business workshop.
Frankly, there's been a lot of confusing information, misinformation, uncertainty, and I want to make sure we're sort of all on the same page.
It's a scene playing out across America.
Nobody has given us any figures on what is defined as affordable.
Right.
Okay.
Worried constituents asking what Obamacare will really mean for them.
Some of us, they're going to start cutting those hours, then disqualify them as full-time employees.
There are going to be adjustments we'll need to make, and we'll find those out as the program rolls out.
In fact, the Obama administration has been making adjustments to the law Nancy Pelosi said we had to pass so that we could find out what was in it. 1,200 waivers to companies, unions, schools, and local governments, exemptions to congressional staffers, delayed deadlines like the employer mandate.
Which again, to me, is smart policy. You try to do something transformative to deal with a big problem. You get a feedback loop of what facts are emerging that you couldn't anticipate, and then you make adjustments to improve. That's normal behavior.
Throw the law out! It's all gotta go!
But it's not normal behavior, say many Obamacare critics. They say instead, it's quite literally lawlessness.
Obamacare really isn't a law in the traditional sense. A document that's 2,500 plus pages long can't be a law in the sense of a settled standing rule of right and wrong.
Charles Kessler of the Claremont Institute says the Affordable Care Act gives to the Obama administration and its bureaucrats what the notion of a living constitution gives to activist judges, the ability to interpret the written law as they see fit.
It is indigestible. It is incoherent. It's basically an excuse for bureaucrats and congressmen and congressional staffers and interest groups to negotiate forever the meaning of the law in a way that lines their pockets or favors their interests.
Equally indigestible, Kessler says, the growing stack of Obamacare regulations, reportedly 15,000 pages worth. 71% of Americans find that over the top. While the administration issues those waivers and exemptions, the president can't suspend the law of unintended consequences.
Don't get me wrong, my stores are top performers, and so we made money. It was just on real small margins.
Bob Westbrook of Longview, Texas, told us he won't be able to afford to buy health care for his employees or to pay the Obamacare fines if he doesn't. So he unloaded 2 of his pizza franchises, while he says he could still get a good price for them.
Just the penalty alone was going to be thousands of dollars more than what we even made out of the 3 stores.
Obamacare has put into our language some new interesting phrases. There are now 49ers. 49ers are companies with 49 employees who are just not going to get that 50th employee because it triggers all kinds of expenses and coercions under Obamacare. And then there are 29ers. People working 29 hours a week who aren't going to be allowed to work a 30th hour a week because Obamacare stipulates that someone who works 30 hours a week is a full-time employee.
When you hear that, what do you think?
I think, in fairness, the data is inconclusive as to whether that's happening or not. There's clearly examples of that happening, and there's clearly examples of that not happening.
By summer's end, 57% call the way Obamacare is being carried out a joke.
It's my first town hall.
Some urgently worry that a government program so big and so complicated will be impossible to uproot once it takes hold.
What is your gut? Do you have confidence that this is going to happen?
Which is why some folks here in Rome, Georgia, are pushing their congressman to move ahead with his plan to kill the law now.
I'm going to tell you, you better buckle your chin strap. It's going to get a little bit interesting.
Tom Graves' bill to defund Obamacare is the first he's ever written. It will soon pit Republican against Republican.
The best thing you can do is just turn off the TV for a month, right? You'll sleep a lot better.
Coming up, nothing focuses the mind like a deadline, and 3 of them loom over Washington.